Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna make some items out of these sacks. So I have these little muslin sacks that I ordered from Amazon, and I'll try to find these and put a link to them in the description. And then the burlap sacks, I bought those years ago from a place called Decor Deals, and can't get them anymore because they closed during the pandemic. But the muslin, I found those pretty easily on Amazon. And these are just tea towels. And this is what they look like when they're dipped in coffee. And then, so I'm going to show you, if you can't find any bags or you don't want to bother with ordering them, you get those tea towels at the Dollar General, and you can also get them at Walmart. And I'm just going to show you how you can make any size bag with those. So you just take a piece twice as large as you want your bag, and then just obviously a little bit extra. And then, so you're going to fold it in half and cut it along the top. Now, I'm not going to sew these. I'm just going to use hot glue, but you could sew them, and obviously it would be even better. But I'm going to do this the easy and quick way. So I'm going to start by laying a piece of jute twine across the top, and then folding the cloth over and gluing that down. And when you glue that down, be careful that you don't glue into the jute. So then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just going to lay that jute down about an inch from the top, and then fold it over and glue just at the bottom of the piece of fabric. And like I said, just stay far enough away from that jute that you don't glue that, because you're going to want to be able to move that twine. You could also use cloth, hot glue that is for cloth. This is just regular hot glue because I don't plan on washing this. So I wouldn't bother getting the more expensive glue, and I would just use whatever you had on hand. Now I'm just tying a knot in each end, and then just kind of clipping that end off. And then while you have the right sides still turned together, you're just going to glue down both sides. And you want to get really close to the edge, but you want to make sure that you put enough glue that it'll hold that shut, because we're going to be stuffing this. Now you could also use muslin fabric here, or if you wanted to make a large one, you could just use a pillowcase, and that would be very easy to turn into a bag. It doesn't matter what color it is, actually, because we're going to be painting this one. And I didn't speed through this at all so that you could see how very quickly you can make one of these. So you just glue it all the way up there at the top, because it's not going to interfere with your jute because it's on the inside of that little tube. So now you just turn it right side out, and now it's ready to paint. And anytime you're using your painting fabric, especially when it's thin fabric, you need to put something down inside it so that it doesn't. And I just put a little painting that I had started and didn't finish, so I just stuck that down in there because it just fit this bag. So I'm just going to paint both sides in this color of orange that I've mixed, actually, but you could use any color of orange you want. And then I'm going to take some brown and just kind of work it up and down and almost in a stripe, so that it gives it more of like a pumpkin sections. You'll see this pumpkin sections. And it's really not going to look like that, but it's just going to kind of give that illusion, and that's what I'm going for. And also that brown kind of gives it more of an aged look. And you don't have to take your time with that. That part goes quickly, and it doesn't have to be precise at all. So just kind of keep your strokes in the same direction. That's really the only thing that you need to do. And I'm going ahead and stuffing this while it's still wet. And that's not ideal at all. I'm just having to be careful. But I didn't want to wait on it to dry, so I'm just going to go ahead and stuff it. The good thing about painting these is when you're working with a thin fabric like this and you paint it, it stiffens it up some, so it makes it a lot thicker or seem a lot thicker. So you want to stuff this one pretty well because you want it to almost have more of a rounded look. So just make sure you get plenty of stuffing in there. And then we're just going to draw the drawstring at the top and tie a knot in it. And then I'm going to take some green burlap and cut a couple leaves. So I just kind of fold it in half and cut 2 leaves that are still connected in the center. And then I'm going to glue those to the top. I say little leaves, but these leaves ended up being way too big for this little pumpkin, so I ended up cutting them down. But like I said, just tie a knot in the top, and I guess at this point you could stick a stem down in there, and I probably should have, but you could stick a little twig down in the top, and it probably would have looked better. But I'm actually just now thinking of that while I'm editing, and I may go back tomorrow and do that. So here I am just cutting these down so they're not too big for this little pumpkin. And then this little pumpkin will be finished, except I'm going to add a hang tag. And then, like I said, I'm probably going to go back tomorrow and stick a stem down in the top of it. And now I'm just putting my little hang tag on here, and that's all that I'm going to do to this one. And there's what they look like finished. I made a larger one also. And now I'm just taking one of my burlap sacks and just adding some decoration to the front of this one. So I'm just going to do my grain sack striping. And I know you guys, if you've watched me long at all, you've seen me doing these. But you just put 3 pieces of tape down side by side, and you pull the middle one away, and then that leaves you a stencil for your first stripe. So like I said, you just pull that middle one away, and then you just paint it whatever color that you want. And I'm going to do this one in white. Burlap is very easy to paint or to stencil on because it shows up real well, and you usually don't have to do 2 coats. I did here, but you usually don't have to. And then before I even let it dry, and it works perfectly fine, I go ahead and tape that off. And so you're covering the original stripe or the first stripe, and overlapping just enough to create a space between it and the next stripe. And then you put another piece of tape down and stencil that in, and then you'll have your 3 stripes. And you could keep adding stripes, but especially on a small item, I like to stop at 3. And now I've just found a stencil that will work, and I'm just going to stencil that in black. And then this little bag will be finished. Now generally with these little burlap bags, I don't have to put anything down in them because I'm not really putting much paint on them when I stencil, so it doesn't ever bleed through for me. So now I'm just taping this little stencil off and taping those stars off because I don't want those. And then I'm going to do this stencil in black and white. Now these little sacks could be just used as sacks, or you could actually stuff them with the polyfill or the batting, which is what I used, and make pillows from them. Or you could make them for your booth or your store and use them as gift bags or sell them as gift bags. Now I'm using the same technique on this one with the 3 grain stripes. And then on this one, I'm going to be adding a stamp instead. And the stamp that I'm going to be using on this one is from an IOD stamp set called crockery stamps. And I like to use these a lot on items like this, and they're really good on crocks and jars. But there are my bags finished, and I added another one there. And then we'll move on to the next item. And the next item is we're going to make some scarecrow heads. So I could leave this one the burlap color, and I'm sure that would work just fine. But I decided to add the color sandbar and just kind of dry brush it over the bag, and then dry brush a little bit of the color pine cone just to kind of give it a little more dimension. And I do that to both sides. Now you could choose any colors you wanted on this. I just wanted to lighten up that burlap just a little bit. So, like I said, I just very quickly cover that up, and I keep my strokes in the same direction. And now I'm gonna paint a scarecrow face on this. And I'm starting with the nose because that's easier for me to determine where everything goes if I start with the nose right in the middle. So I'm doing an upside down triangle, except that instead of having straight sides, they're going to be rounded. So I'm just kind of using whatever colors I think will work, and I'm kind of mixing up somewhat of an orange tan, I guess. I don't know what color to call this, but I'm mixing red and tan and white, and just kind of giving this somewhat of an orange look. Obviously I didn't put any yellow, so it's not going to be orange, but I just want to give it just a little bit of an orange look. You could choose whatever color you want. You just want your nose to not blend in. And I know it kind of blends in now, but we're going to be outlining it, so it doesn't matter. So now for the eyes, you're going to go on both sides of the nose, but let the nose still come down a little further at the bottom. You'll go about even on top, but then let the bottom go down below of the nose, go down below the bottom of the eyes, rather. And I'm just kind of doing an upside down U here, and then going across the bottom, but don't make that straight. You'll want to give it somewhat of a curve down. And then I'm just kind of haphazardly filling it with white paint. It doesn't have to be completely solid. You just want to get some white in there. And now I'm taking this tan color and painting the top where the lid will be, where the eyelid will be, in this tan color, because you're going to see that eyelid there. And I didn't mention that I don't really have to let the face dry, because I just kind of dry brush that on anyway. And yes, I am getting a little on my hands, but I'm fine with that. But the color doesn't bleed through when I try to paint over that. And now I'm taking the color black and just outlining the outer edge of my eyes. So just take a really fine brush because it'll be a lot easier. Now, in this case, what you could do is let your paint dry and then use maybe a Sharpie marker and do this part. That would be easier. Or if you don't like the look of the Sharpie marker, you could use a paint marker. So I'm just going around both eyes and then down under the lid. Now I'm not going to speed this up at all because I want you to see all the steps of painting the face. And now I'm just going to paint a black circle off to the side of each eye. So it's not a complete circle because you want it coming off the lid, going under the lid and off the side of the eye. So you're going to do that on both sides and obviously on the same side of the eye. So again, you're just going to fill that in with black. And then now after you paint your black, it really would be a lot easier if you let each step dry, because you don't want to get into that black and pull it out into your other colors. But I'm just being careful here so that I could videotape straight through. And now I'm just taking and making kind of a sad eyebrow, if you know what I mean. It's just kind of drooping down on the edge, and it's very faint. And then I'm going to stitch around my nose with the paint. So I'm just going to make this look like stitches. And you don't want to keep your stitches all angled in the same direction. One might be angled one way and one might be angled the other. And then I decided I wanted to outline this nose too. So I'm going ahead and outlining that nose. But then, like I said, I just take those stitches, and you don't have to be exact about how close they are together because you want this to resemble a homemade scarecrow face, like it was hand stitched. And you can see it starting to come together as a face. And now for the next step, I'm just going to use some eyeshadow. So I just have a cheap eyeshadow palette, and I use it for stenciling on cloth or paper. And I'm just going to take my finger and rub some of that pink onto the cheeks, because you don't really want to do this in paint. It will look too painted on, and you won't get a soft edge. So I just find that it works better to use eyeshadow. And now I'm just going to take some light blue. I've mixed some blue with white, and making a little bit of blue, painting a little bit of blue around that black circle. And you don't have to use blue here, obviously. You could use a light brown, or you could use a green. I just chose to use blue on this one. And then I'm going to take some black, and I'm going to just lightly outline around that blue. And then I'm going to use black and make just a few droopy eyelashes, because this is supposed to be kind of a sad little scarecrow face. And so I'm just going to take that black and just take a few eyelashes down and slightly rounded just off the side. And you won't see some of these very well because of that black circle in the eye. So we're going to take some white paint and just lightly highlight them so that they'll show up better. Most people want to take eyelashes and draw them up and around, but that's not how eyelashes actually go. You want to take them down over the eye and then up around. And like I said, you can't really see those eyelashes well, but we'll go back over them and highlight them after a while. Now, I'm going to make the mouth, and I'm just doing a wavy smile, somewhat of a wavy smile. And I'm just doing that in black. And then because, again, we want to give it this homemade look, we're going to take and put some stitches through the mouth. And just like with the nose, don't try to be precise, because again, you want that homemade look. And then that is the face, except we're going to add some highlighting. And just do a little touch up here and there. And then obviously we want a glare in those eyes, because that will make all the difference. Now obviously there are easier ways to paint a scarecrow face. You don't have to make them as realistic as I have here. But I just like this little droopy face. I saw it on Pinterest one time, and I just really like the look of it. And then here I am putting a little bit of a glare on that nose. And then there is the face complete. And I'm adding a little bit of highlight on that little mouth too. So obviously for this one, we're going to stuff it also. So again, I'm using polyfill here. I guess I'm using batting. I had bought a bunch of batting at an estate sale one time, so I just use whatever I have on hand. Sometimes I use old pillows. Sometimes I buy cheap pillows and use that stuffing, and sometimes I just buy the bagged polyfill. I just buy whatever is cheaper, and you could even use plastic grocery sacks here and stuff it with that. But now I'm just taking some jute and tying a knot around the top. And then we're going to make him some hair. So to make the hair, we're just going to take some fabric, just whatever color you like. I do like to use fabric that is printed on both sides. So I'm cutting a strip here that is the length that I want my bangs. But I did decide here that I wasn't cutting high enough up, and I just cut it all the way up, and that will be my bangs. Now obviously you want to leave just enough at the top that you keep your strips together. And here I am working on the sides, and obviously I make those just slightly longer. They don't have to be a lot longer, because it's going to be going down, so it's going to get longer as it goes down. But here I accidentally split this piece, so I'm just kind of having to piece it. But I'm folding those sides also. So however far you want it to go down on the sides, make it twice that long so that you can fold it over. And I'm just kind of gluing it down both sides. And I'm concentrating toward the front more. You could add hair to the back, but I'm just kind of doing this to look better from the front. And as you can see, that's a very easy way to make the hair. And at this point, you could add more if you wanted. You could cut another strip and glue right behind it, or you can trim anything that needs to be trimmed. And there's another one that I had done earlier. I actually think these would be cute done in male and female, and so you could do her hair longer. But I'm just giving you the idea, and you can just kind of put your own spin on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.